awesome sauce. It worked the first time that time. That is awesome. I'm so happy about that. How is everybody doing? You guys see my mess back there? I've been super creative lately. Super creative. Okay, cool. Wait a second. I just want to make sure everything is working right. Yeah. Okay, cool. New moon time. Let's go ahead and get our chart pulled up. Okay. All right. I have not looked at this chart yet, but good grief. Holy living water. That's not blasphemy, by the way. I'm looking at this. Water turn we have going on. We haven't had a lot of, let me look back at the last couple of moons. I feel like we haven't had a lot of water lately. I mean, we've got Jupiter going through Cancer, and then Saturn and Neptune kind of playing between Pisces and Aries, but water has, I feel like the last little bit, water hasn't been emphasized. It's been more about like earth connections, like mind-body connections. Okay, so let's start with our almost watery new moon. We've got the sun and the moon over here. This new moon, by the way, is happening Tuesday morning if you're in the Memphis, Chicago Central Time Zone at 7:25 a.m. So we won't get to see this one either. Not that we really ever see a new moon. I mean, sometimes if you're in a place that's very dark with, no manufactured lights, when you can see the stars and the nebulas, and like when you can see the Milky Way, when it's that dark outside, you can see the new moon. And it's just like this dark circle that's up there, but we won't be able to see this one. The full moon we had in Libra about 6 months ago was pretty intense. It had a lot to do with things that we needed to adjust the balance on. Now we're starting a new cycle with this internalized, unconscious Libra energy. There's been a lot of Libra stuff going on too, I feel like. Libra is the place where you connect with those that are worthy of you, and you in turn have to be worthy of them. you find a person and you are worthy of each other. That's why it's linked with like marriage and diplomacy and that sort of thing. When you negotiate, when you it's not so much about compromise as it is about, here's the difference. You have to be you and they have to be them. When you have to make a decision together, the two of you should not both be losing something. It should be something that works out to the benefit of you both. That's what Libra balance is really about. Something that it's like a 1 + 1 = kind of thing. It's not about sacrificing part of you or this thing sacrificing part of it or person, you know. It's about, if you think about like when I think about Libra, I always think about home interior and like decorating your house just right. You know, on HGTV, they have all these rules about how to make things aesthetically pleasing. Libra is that place where if you adjust the balance just right, all the tension goes away and it's beautiful to look at. It's pleasing. It feels balanced. That's the key. It feels like it. You can feel the tension sort of leave your body. It's calming to look at. Remember, Libra is ruled by Venus, who's right there in Libra for this new moon. And Venus is how we sort of self-regulate. That's how I think about it neurobiologically. Venus is our self-regulator. It's how we know what foods we like, that we get hungry for. It's how we know what feels good to us, like tactile. It's what smells good. It's what looks good. It's what sounds good. Venus is those things about you, the things that make you physically feel good, that you find physically pleasing in some way. So with this new moon happening here, I feel like we have an opportunity to not begin again, not like start from scratch. Like these things are already a part of us. We just have to tap into them. It's kind of like when you talk about the moon cycles, you know how sometimes you work so hard on something and you sort of get frustrated with it and you really overthink it, or you're just focused on it for too long and you just need a break from it. So you take a break and then when you come back, you're not starting over, you're starting again. That's what the new moon is like. So maybe during the Libra full moon that we had 6 months ago, things got a little frustrating with the trying to balance it. And we need to take a break from that so we can start again with this balance. And here's the crazy thing. See, this one is tricky. Oh, this one is really tricky. Because let's talk about what's connected to this this moon. Oh, that is wild. Where's the Earth? There's no... Oh, okay. Let me think for a second. It's like almost like embodying a state of mind, like if you can imagine an emotional state of mind, a resilient state of mind. For some reason, Bruce Lee's quote, "Be like water, my friend," came to mind. Because it flows. See, here's the thing. We've got this new moon going on here, and then in opposition, we have Chiron in fire and Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron is I know what it's like to go through this, and I'm going to help you through it because I've risen above that. I didn't let that turn me into a beast, into an animal. I overcame it, and I'm going to help you with it. It's the kind of doctor you want, like an experienced doctor. Not that you want your doctor to have gone through, whatever. And when I say doctor, it doesn't just have to be like some sort of physical doctor. It could be like a psychiatrist or something too. Somebody who understands. Chiron understands. They have the experience themselves. And also squaring the new moon is Jupiter in Cancer. So this is called a T-square, when you have something that's in opposition and then you have something in the middle of it. So you have three things that are 90 degrees apart. And Pluto would make a grand square, a grand cross. That's what that's called, not a grand square. So it would be like these things going straight across from each other. And it is, but Pluto is out of sign. See, if Pluto was in Capricorn at between like 24 and 28 degrees, or even up to 29 degrees, then it would have all the elements balanced in that cross. But Pluto is in Aquarius. What that means is, instead of Pluto and the new moon, you can think of a square like an arm wrestle. Like, when you arm wrestle somebody, your hands and your arms make a 90-degree angle. That's sort of like a square. There's a tension there. There's something that you need to work on. Like, you're trying to work to get the other person's arm down. You're trying to work to get to the table, but there's something that is keeping you from that. There's a resistance there. A square is like that resistance. But this one there isn't as much resistance because Pluto is in another air sign. See, the thing about squares, the signs that are square don't have anything in common. So let's say Libra and Capricorn. Libra is an external sign. Capricorn is an internal sign. Libra is air. Capricorn is earth. Libra is, well, they're both cardinal, but that's the only thing they have in common is like which mode their energy is in. So if you can imagine two people having the same energy mode, but they have nothing in common. So they're hanging out with each other with the same type of energy. It's just going in different places to different things. But this time so this acts more like a trine. Because Libra is an external air sign. Aquarius is an external air sign. Libra is cardinal, but Aquarius is fixed. So that's where you find the difference between those two energies and how you start piecing together, like, how is this new moon there's a map in here. How's this new moon and Pluto, what is their relationship to each other? What is their aspect? So even though it's challenging because technically it's a square, they're 93 degrees apart. Pluto gets it because like they're made out of the same thing. They're both air. So you look at the difference. That's the easiest way to figure out really what's going on, is to find the cognitive dissonance, the things that don't match up, the thing that breaks the pattern. So you've got one cardinal and one fixed. Pluto wants to sit in this fixed air energy. It wants to be fixed. It wants to sort of contemplate, meditate upon, look within for that sort of thing. And Libra's like, let's try something new. Let's find something different. Let's go. What is the next thing? Cardinal energy. Cardinal comes from a word. If you trace like the etymology, if you look at the etymology and trace the word back, it means to pivot. So like a door, a hinge that swings open. It's like walking through a new doorway into a new room, a new place, a new stage of whatever. So the new moon wants to start this new thing. And Pluto is like, yeah, I'm there with you. You know, it's all about connection, but fixed energy. And Pluto has gone direct since the last full moon in Aries, right? Yeah, I don't know. It might not be direct yet. This is Tuesday. As of Tuesday, it's going to be direct. It's probably on its way direct right now. So there's more tension than there would be if it were a regular trine, but there's less tension than if it were a regular square. It's like an easy challenge, something that is challenging, but you got it. You can figure it out. What that feels like, that aspect with Pluto, is like, I'm gonna try this new thing. I'm gonna do this new balance thing. I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna have this open approach. But Pluto's sort of like in the back of your mind saying like, don't forget who you are. Don't forget what's important to you. Don't forget how you need to connect. That's what it is. Pluto is saying, don't forget how you need to connect while you're trying this new approach, while you're trying this new way of getting things balanced. Pluto is saying, don't forget what connections are important to you. Because that's what Aquarius is all about, being your unique self as part of the whole, right? And I feel like since Pluto's gone direct, that makes even more sense, because we're not so much thinking about it anymore. It's like, okay, now we're ready to go forward, and we've got this fixed in the back of our mind and our deep unconscious. It's like really knowing who you are on a subconscious level. And I really like that. I don't know how other people feel about that, other astrologers, or how you might feel about it. Please tell me. I welcome your thoughts. But that's sort of what it feels like to me. It could be like, I know a lot of times people are like, oh, Pluto this, and they're not very excited about Pluto, and I am very excited about Pluto. I love working with Pluto energy. I have a very Plutonian chart. Like I've done a lot of Pluto work, you know what I mean? So I feel differently about it than other people might. And that's okay. One is not like better or worse or greater or less than, or, It's a Libra place, the same, or different but equal, you know? Different but equal. Honestly, I feel like Jupiter might be making us a little, I like that Chiron is here. I'm going to jump to Chiron for just a second because I feel like Chiron in Aries is saying, you got this, you can do this, you know who you are, be yourself, sort of like, it's got the treatment for you. It's like physical therapy. You can do this. You can show up. You can exist in this world. Um, you can start walking again. You can. Aries is where we show up. It's where we sort of have to make a stand, and stake our claim, our right to exist, our right to be here. And I think that's important to remember when it comes to Jupiter. So Pluto is saying you know what sort of connection you're looking for. You know who you are in this big world of people. You know what makes you unique. And Chiron is saying, yes, that's the thing that you want to, there is room for you. You're going to take up the room whether you like it or not. You're already there. You might as well own it. You know, you might as well say yes. And Jupiter is such a big, Jupiter doesn't know how to say no. And in Cancer, sometimes what this feels like, going back to the Jupiter and Cancer thing, is it feels like there might be this other little voice on your other shoulder saying, maybe we should just go back to the house. Maybe we shouldn't go out today. Maybe we should just hide under the blanket. And, you know, make our home there and we can make a whole fort with our blankets and pillows, and that'll be great. If that's what you need, that's what you need. You know, if that's what you're into. I'm a homebody. Don't let that overwhelm. That's where you got to find the balance. Okay. It feels like that's where the balance needs to be found. How much of yourself do you want to give to the world, and how much of the world do you want to take from the world? Like, how much of, you know, do you see what I'm saying? Let me say that again. How much socializing can you handle? Maybe. How much do you want and need to connect with the world? Here's another thing about Jupiter in Cancer. Because when you think about a crab, right? Crabs retreat into their shell. They need their shell. If there's a threat, if there's danger, excuse me, but they grow and eventually they outgrow their shell and have to get a new one. So they have to come out of their shell in order to find it. It's like you've outgrown this safe space. Now you're ready for a bigger safe space, and have faith that you will find one. Jupiter is very much about faith. Have faith that you will be able to find a safe place. That is your balance. Use that. See how squares, oppositions, oh my goodness, we've got 4 of them going on here, and we can use that as something positive. It's a challenge, but that's where the growth happens. I've often wondered, this is kind of random, but I've often wondered if plants that grow from soil are stronger than plants that just grow from water, like hydroponics, because the seed doesn't have as much weight on it as it's trying to push out. Like there's not as much resistance. So maybe it doesn't have to be as strong. I don't know. If you know, tell me. I don't know. That's a weird thing, but that's kind of how I think of growth. Not totally completely. It's just like one thought I've had about growth. Let's talk about this water trine. Sorry, y'all. This Mars Mercury conjunction that is happening in Scorpio on Tuesday, that is where my sun is. So that conjunction is happening on my sun, while Jupiter is on or very close to my part of fortune and my ascendant. So I'm wondering, like, what is that going to mean for me personally? But also, that's not the same as what it's going to mean for you. So I'm trying to separate that for just a second. When Mars and Mercury get together, the result can be Eminem is my favorite Mercury and Scorpio that I don't know. I know a couple people with Mercury and Scorpio, and I have to say that they're my favorite because I know them and I like them. But if you think about Eminem's vocabulary and the depth that he can go to with wordplay, not just like the words that he uses, but how he puts them together, where he can make like the beginning of the word rhyme instead of the end and emphasize that syllable in a way that, like, if you just read the lyrics as a paragraph, it would just sound like there would be no rhyme. But he articulates them in a way that's Mercury and Scorpio. Mercury and Scorpio can go so deep, like a whole different level of depth with communication, with movement, with sort of like cognition, I guess. Stuff that nobody would ever see because not many people are gonna have we'll be nice and call it focus of Scorpio, right? Obsession might be another word we could use there. So when you add Mars to that Mercury, it's like an Eminem battle rap. Like, you have offended him and he is coming after you. Like, you said Haley, and now it's over. So how can we, I don't want to call it volatile, how can we use this in a way that helps us? Well, I think that defending yourself or using it to assert the boundary and say, this is the line, don't cross it, that is healthy. Just don't go overboard with it. Don't go watch that stinger. because Mars can be very reactive, and we don't want Mars to be reactive. Neurologically speaking, here's a body hack, a mind body hack. When you feel yourself about to react, if you can pause and take a breath and then let the breath out, it actually sort of makes your prefrontal cortex work a little bit harder, and that's the part of your brain that reasons, and it gives you all of those like higher order executive function thinking skills. So it lets you, when you take a breath like that, start to react, stop, take a breath. It lets you think about all the different options. You're able to reason through it and then choose which is the best way for me to respond to this. So when you feel that fire coming up, if you just add a little bit of air to the earth, a little bit of air to your body, it tempers that fire and lets you have more control over which way you want to direct it and how big you want to make it. So definitely, and there's really no aspect to the new moon, but this is relevant because there's sort of like two sets of big energies going on here. So those two sets of big energies have to work together, and that's why this is. And there's a flow because you've got air, and then it flows into water. Moving from like one sign to the next is not. It's not just like this thing stops at this point and it starts at this point. There's a flow to it. Like if you've got, if you put ink drops in water and you put them right next to each other, you're going to have areas of that color by itself, but they're going to bleed into each other. Those two colors are. So that's what it's like. That's what this feels like. These two big energies, the big energy of the new moon, Pluto, Jupiter, and Chiron is sort of flowing into or like bleeding into this water grand trine that we have going on. Mars and Mercury together, when Mars and Mercury are conjunct, that can be a reactive conversation that does not get much done. Scorpio, let's talk about the highs and lows of Scorpio. You know, Scorpio is like the sign that transforms. There's 3 phases. We've talked about those a little bit here and there, but like the Scorpion is so defensive that it will sting itself before it lets somebody else sting it. Or, and it's chaotic, I'm just going to sting everybody actions, it accidentally stings itself. We don't want Mars and Mercury to do that in Scorpio. The other side of that, honestly, is sort of like Chiron and Aries. It's compassion and healing and no judgment. It's like sitting there for the dark things, being able to be with somebody for the dark thing without judgment. You have compassion instead. Like, if you have a Scorpio in your life, you know you can probably come to them with anything if they've done their own inner work. You can tell them anything, and they're not going to judge you for it. They're not going to hold it against you. So how can you be that person for somebody else with that Mars and Mercury instead of giving that energy? How can you assert yourself in a way, because that's what Mars does, it's our self-assertion. How can you assert yourself in a way where you can connect with the heavier things and not hold any judgment there, whether that's with yourself or with somebody else? Jupiter, keeping the faith, and Cancer, there will be a safe place. When you outgrow this one, you will find a new safe place. You will always have a safe place. You will always have a little shell that you can live in when you need to. And then we've got the North Node in Pisces saying, yeah, this is it. It's almost like this is saying, ooh, okay, so here's the thing about trines, right? That because trines are supposed to be good and squares are supposed to be bad. Trine energy flows very easily. So if you've got Jupiter in Cancer that maybe gets like defensive and just wants to live in create a whole pillow fort, they're saying yes too much to their shelter, to their shell, their safe space, and they're not allowing room for growth. And then you've got Mars and Mercury and Scorpio over here ready to defend the safe space. If anybody comes in, if anybody gets close, I'm going to mess you up. Without even thinking, just as soon as we see somebody. We've got Saturn retrograde. Neptune. So what this trine, I'll explain a little bit more. I'll go into more detail about it. What this trine, if you don't work well with it, it could end up being almost like you're reacting to your own feelings and what you think might be going on instead of creating this, like, it feels like knowing yourself and having enough faith in yourself to carry that safe space with you and know that you never lose it. Like, you are that safe space, and just embodying that energy. My doggy wants to go outside. Like, embodying this energy of this is like embodying your resilience and having the faith that no matter what comes along, you can handle it. Because you've got Mars and Mercury to help you handle the dark stuff, to help you respond appropriately and assert yourself when you need to communicate or move with the dark stuff. You've got Jupiter and Cancer saying, I've got your shell. I'm carrying your shell for you. Let's go. And then you've got the North Node in Pisces. It's not conjunct with Saturn, but I mean, it is the North Node, so that's like a background type energy. But Saturn retrograde is saying, when Saturn goes retrograde, it's always like, what do you want to make real? What sort of reality do you want to have? Because Saturn is the thing that realizes things, real eyes. It makes it real. It makes it manifest. It makes it material. It sets a boundary in time and space to create the thing and make it physical material world. And I always think of Pisces as like the unbothered place. Just it just feels good. Like the end of the day, everything is done, all the work is finished. So Saturn is wanting you to think about how you want that place to feel. But Pisces is a place where we can get a little delulu, where we can lose touch with reality. So I think Saturn being there is a good thing. I think it helps balance us out a little more. It makes us maybe a little more objective and grounded. Because, like I said, there's not a lot of Earth. Okay, so real talk. This might be like if you were going to think that somebody's like, oh, I know they have it in for me, or they're out to get me, or I know they don't like me. Like, you're sort of imagining or letting your mind run away with this idea that somebody has these negative feelings toward you or this negative approach to you, because Libra is where we develop our approach with other people, like psychologically, developmentally speaking. So are you super defensive about that approach? Are you sort of maybe projecting a little bit because you feel weird about how you approach people, about how you approach the world, so you're defensive about how the world approaches you? Or are you going to let the world approach you how it's going to, because you have faith that you can handle anything and you can set your boundaries and you will be okay no matter what? Like, okay, like not just surviving, okay, but you're good no matter what. So that's how you approach the world? Or is the approach more, I don't feel comfortable approaching the world, so I don't want the world to feel comfortable approaching me? I think that's what it is. How we feel about our approach to the world and the world's approach to us. There we go. We put it all together. Do you have enough faith in yourself for yourself to approach the world? When I say the world, I mean like everything, not just like what's going on in the news, or like everything outside of yourself, your immediate home environment, your town, your community, your work, your grocery store, like everything, your vacations, wherever. Is Uranus going to get back into Taurus? Let me look at that for a second. Of course, like this random change of topic, and it's Uranus. Hang on a second, Uranus. I'm not done with Saturn and Neptune yet. So Neptune is, sheesh, right on the border of Pisces and Aries. Remember, Neptune is your imagination, so make sure that the structure, the boundary, the definition that you're putting around time and space with Saturn to create this place that you want, this material reality that you want, is for your greatest good. Use your imagination and go as big as you want to with it. But make sure that that is grounded and not, you don't want to lose touch with reality completely. There's got to be a healthy balance, because ideally, maybe we all want to live like Alice in Wonderland, but realistically, we would probably starve to death because our body needs food. And if we're spending all day in dreamland, then, you know, we're living in that space instead of living in the real world. And we have to live in the real world. We have to remember to take care of those things. Okay, Uranus. See, at first glance, you would think that, like, Uranus and you would think that there's, like, almost this air trine going on too. But I feel like Venus is just too far away for that. Like, right now, at this very second we're doing this live, there's probably an air trine going on. But Uranus is retrograde. So instead of going this way, it's going this way. And Venus is going this way. So they're moving away from each other. They're moving like this instead of like this or like this. They're not going the same way. They're going opposite ways. And they're... If Uranus were direct, I would say that 9-degree orb, okay, we can work with that. But because Uranus is moving the opposite way, I feel like that energy is like fizzled out energy. It's like it's trying to, it's like when you crank your car up and your battery's dead and it's trying to turn over, but it's not quite there. That's kind of what it feels like. Like it's not enough. It's there, but it's not enough to really get anything going or have any influence, or like it's not enough to really change things maybe on its own. And then we can't forget about Pluto and Uranus with their trine energy that they have. That's, like I said before, that's going to be that way for a while. And the Saturn-Neptune thing is going to be interacting with the Uranus-Pluto thing for a while. So just keep, you know, when you get those random lightning strikes of ideas, weigh them out. Is this for me? Is this not for me? Does this bring me peace and help me feel alive in the world? Or is it something that gonna suck out my soul and wear out my body? That's kind of how you can judge those things when it comes to what kind of reality do you want to create. Okay, this one more time. Yeah, that's yeah. So I think that's where our new cycle is for this new moon. How are we approaching the world, and how are we thinking about, feeling about how the world approaches us? Don't be too defensive about it, but also know that you can handle yourself if you need to. Don't go looking for trouble, but be ready for trouble. If it should come to you. What do you guys think? Let me know. I think that's all I have. I know as soon as I turn this probably be like, oh yeah, I should have talked about that, or whatever. I'll see something else. But that's how it goes. We have to find the balance, right? Find the balance. And okay, I see what that conjunction is doing to my sun now. Telling you. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for watching this, whether it's live or on a replay. I appreciate you. Check out my Patreon. You can be a free member on my Patreon. I have a free membership, and you can join in these moon streams live with my Patreon. It doesn't cost you anything. I've got a couple other tiers too if you want to check those out that are paid memberships. You get some other little perks, extra live streams, and just different stuff that I write about and talk about, and random things that I test out that nobody else gets to see. So check those out. And yeah, I guess that's it. I'll see you guys when we have our full moon in Taurus. Take care.